And later on in the program, we're going to look at a total of 10 different ways to help us make decisions in different situations.
The morning rise is for paying respect to the Lord Buddha, for his Dharma teaching of the ultimate truth of life.
The sweetness of roses can bring us back to the peace.
And only practice meditation every day will help clear our mind properly.
This one is just the same as this one, except this is small.
Sawadee-ka. Welcome to another edition of Meditation for All, a program designed to help guide individuals toward their goals by applying the fruits of meditation to improve themselves and the society they live in. I am Sanan Pondotjan, and I will be guiding you through the program. We are now halfway through our mini-series on meditation and self-development. I hope that all of you are now adept at using meditation and knowledge from within to bring about the positive changes in yourselves and those around you. This lesson should help strengthen the character that you've built since the very beginning of the mini-series. Venerable Nicholas Thanisaro will be talking about the principles in our decision-making that can keep us from giving in to defilements and show us 10 different ways in which we can make decisions in different situations.
Welcome back to our mini-series on meditation and self-development. Last time we learned about the demons which can come from possible weaknesses in our own mind as a result of the defilements of greed, hatred and delusion which may be lurking there. We found out that these defilements can interfere with our decision-making process in some cases. And last time we also advocated having principles in our decision-making to help us to avoid succumbing to the power of these defilements in the mind. Well, this week it's not too late to start talking about what those principles actually consist of. And later on in the program we're going to look at a total of 10 different ways to help us make decisions in different situations. In fact, when you look at a situation, you can describe the situation as either positive, neutral or negative, as it concerns our ability to make progress in meditation. A positive situation would be the sort of thing which generates the richness of mind which will allow us to go further in our meditation. A neutral situation would be one which doesn't affect our meditation either positively or negatively. Maybe it's just a way of using up our time. A negative situation will be the result of a decision which will upset your ability to make progress in meditation at all. Maybe because of negative states of mind which will build up as a result of that particular action. So what we're going to be looking at in this program today is how to measure whether a decision in a situation will give rise to either a negative, neutral, or a positive situation as a result of the decision which we might make. Because for any sort of action in the world, there are many ways in which you can describe the nature of that action. Some particular scenarios, we may have a feeling that it may be a good thing to do or a bad thing to do in that situation. But sometimes it's hard to put our finger on exactly why we consider it to be a positive or a negative decision in such a situation. Sometimes if you ask for the principles which people make their decisions on, you get as many answers as there are people. But what we'll try to look at today is a more structured way of decision making, a way by which you can actually plan ahead and have some certainty about the decisions you're making, so that the decisions you make can be ones which are going to supplement and enhance your ability to meditate well. Any situation can be looked at in many different ways. Let's take an example, first of all, of perhaps giving a meal of food to the late Mother Teresa of Calcutta, who of course we know is a is a very outstanding woman who has done a lot for society, especially in the poverty-stricken areas of India. Supposing you were to give Mother Teresa a plate of food. A very simple person might justify that, saying it's a positive thing to do, because we know that by eating a plate of food, then Mother Teresa at least will be saved from starvation for another day. It's a very simplistic way of looking at it, but that would be a way of measuring our decision in terms of thinking of the benefit to others. Another person might look at the same situation and say, giving a plate of food is a very positive thing. Why? Not for Mother Teresa's benefit, but for the benefit of all the people who she will help as a result of the strength she gets from the food. In this particular case, measuring the decision is in terms of the benefit that the plate of food will give to society as a whole. A third way of looking at the situation might be to look at not the benefits which the food will give, but in fact the intention behind the person giving the food in the first place. They can see that if the person can be able to let go of the food, perhaps the possible hunger or the temptation to eat it for themselves, then that person is being able to relinquish the power of greed or stinginess in their own mind, which does improve the quality of their mind. So this would be looking at the situation in terms of intention. Another person might look at the same situation and again come to a different conclusion, that if a person can afford to be generous, and if that person can have such a positive intention in their mind, then this will be a thing which in the future will lead that person to be given to by others, because it's said that a person who gives is loved by others. A person who gives will receive in return. So in this particular situation, we're looking at the scenario in terms of doing an action which we will not regret at a later date. Last but not least, there may be the meditators amongst us who, giving such a plate of food to Mother Teresa, find that their own mind is illuminated more inside than it was before. This arising of illumination in the mind would say that, in fact, it's a positive situation. But the way that we measure the positive situation in this scenario is that it gives more illumination to the mind itself. So we can see now that even for the same situation, you can look at it in many different ways, and there may be possibly different principles which you can use in the same situation to decide whether it's a good or a bad decision you're making about it. It's rather like a medicine cabinet. Because there are many different diseases, then there are also many different medicines to treat the diseases. Some sorts of medicine, if you apply them to the wrong diseases, can give a very dangerous result. Try, for example, putting foot ointment in your eye. Although foot ointment is good in itself and it's good for treating bad toenails, but if you put it in your eye, it may make you blind. In the same way with decision making, if you use the wrong sort of decision making tool in the wrong situation, then it may give also an unreliable result. So it's best to be able to apply the right decision-making principle to the right situation, and we'll try to talk about these as we go along, because there's a total of 10 different ways of making decisions which we have at our disposal. The first way I'd like to talk about is the intention behind the decision. Supposing we're making a decision and we find that the decision we make is based in terms of not being under the influence of the defilements in the mind. So that means that the decision we make is not based on greed, not based on hatred, and not based on delusion. Then the chances are that that decision will be a good decision. Sometimes our actions may not be clear. Sometimes it's only the intention behind the actions which is apparent to us. For example, if children sharing out a cake take a bigger helping for themselves than they give to their friends, although it's not bad or evil, their action, but it does show that they have greed in their minds. And this would tell us that in fact that those children are making a decision which is unfavorable to their meditation progress. So even the presence of greed, hatred, or delusion in our decision already tells us that it's a bad decision. However, decisions where there is no influence by greed, hatred, or delusion, then the chances are that these sort of decisions are in fact positive, or at the very least neutral decisions. A second way of deciding about a decision is looking at whether it illuminates or darkens our mind. For those of you who by now are regular meditators, will start to see illumination inside yourself, maybe not only when you're meditating, but also during the day with your eyes open, you still have an awareness of the illumination in your mind. If you find that you're about to make a decision and you find that the brightness in your mind starts to disappear, then the chances are that the decision you're about to take is an erroneous one. However, the sort of decisions which you might make, which actually add to the illumination in your mind, well, these may be the sort of things you should be doing more often. The third sort of decision-making principle I'd like to talk about is in terms of the outcomes of the decision. You may regret an action at a later date, or you may be happy with an action at a later date. A later date here might mean an hour in the future, a week in the future, maybe tens of years in the future, who knows, maybe even next lifetime. If you have some inkling that in the future you may regret a decision, then this is something which you should avoid at all costs. It helps us to realize that some of the work we do, some of the actions which we do which are difficult in the beginning, things like, for example, doing our revision for our examinations since early in the year, it may be hard work in the beginning, but in the end you will not regret that you have done that work. So this is a good principle to use for this sort of decision making where you are talking about the actions which may give their fruits at a later date, where there is some time lag between the work which we do and seeing the fruits of our labors. A fourth way of making decisions is to measure up our decisions in terms of what we call the 5 precepts. 5 precepts, if you can remember, are 5 actions which take advantages of the weaknesses in ourselves or in others. For example, we know very well that the things which people love the most in the world are their own lives, their possessions, their own spouse, and the love of the truth. We also know that our own mind can be very sensitive to the negative influence of intoxicants, which may cloud the mind or allow us not to use our conscience to the full. So this is why we have 5 precepts as a very clear and very concrete guideline to show that killing other people or animals, stealing, committing adultery, telling lies, or taking alcohol or other intoxicants like drugs or even cigarettes, these can be things which are going to interfere with our quality of mind for sure. So if you want a very clear rule of thumb, then measuring your own actions up to the 5 precepts is a very clear way of making a decision about whether an action in a particular situation is going to be positive or negative for you and other people. If it does conflict with the 5 precepts, then the chances are that it's certainly negative. However, if it does not conflict with the 5 precepts, then the chances are that it's at least neutral and possibly positive. But if you want to go beyond the 5 precepts, then there are another set of virtues which go with the 5 precepts, which go over and beyond, which are called the 5 virtues. And if you'd like to look at what these 5 virtues comprise, we find that any sort of action which fits in with either generosity, fits in with compassion, fits in with contentment with one's own spouse, fits in with truthfulness, and which fits in with mindfulness, then the chances are that that sort of decision, the decision to do those 5 categories of action, will in fact be very positive for us and our quality of mind. If we go a little further to look at the next way of looking at decisions, this is where we start to come more into the social sphere. With 5 precepts, we're already talking partially about the decisions which affect other people, but in this particular case, we ought to be looking at also situations which not only we don't regret, but also which others don't regret at a later date. This is something which, if we can appreciate the feelings of others, then we ought to be always taking into account whenever our actions affect other people's lives. Really, the sort of decisions which we should be looking for are decisions which, when put into action, will bring neither us nor others regret at a later date. If we are regretting at a later date, even if the other people aren't, then we should still not do that thing. If the other people don't regret it but we do, then again that's not worth doing. And if both of us regret it, then certainly we should stay away from that sort of action. Apart from regrets, another way of looking at actions in the social context is to look at the benefit which comes from the action. Often we hear in modern management terminology about a win-win situation. This is talking about the benefits which come from the outcome of the decisions which we make. If both of us win, that is, we win and they win as a result of a situation, which we have decided, then that is worth doing. However, if only we win and they don't, or they win and we don't, or neither of us win, then these are the sort of actions which we ought to be avoiding if at all possible. In a wider social context, sometimes we have factors coming into our decision making which we haven't talked about so far. If you talk about actions which may on a personal level seem beneficial, but on a social level are not beneficial, then sometimes if it's in the social sphere we have to give up our selfish interest in order for the greater and wider social benefit. This can take place, for example, when we have to neglect maybe the interests of ourselves or our families in order to do something positive for the wider society. Supposing our society is affected by the plague and the government calls upon volunteers to help out with treating the other people in society so that the plague doesn't spread to us and our family, then we'd be better off to put our time in to help society as a whole rather than locking ourselves up in our house and ignoring the situation. This would be a case in which using our altruism to help society as a whole may be the better thing to do in case that the social situation is a bad one. So sometimes we have to take the social situation into account as well. So far we've talked about 7 different ways of making decisions. In fact, there are more than this, but I'm only going to mention them as headings in passing today. The other decisions which we're talking about are possibly the spiritual decisions in life, which we're going to be talking about in 2 weeks' time with what we call the mention of the Noble Eightfold Path. There are also the factor of not contradicting precepts, virtue, custom, or the law, which can take place in certain situations where it's not clear to us what is right in a social situation. And last but not least, we have the 38 blessings, which is a very long and complex topic, which I don't have time to go into today, but maybe at a later date, which is a very interactive way of looking at whether a decision is positive or not in a situation. Last but not least, some people sometimes ask why we cannot just use the law as a way to decide whether a decision made by a person is positive or negative. Well, as we've already mentioned, even intention can sometimes upset our ability to meditate. Even the things we say can sometimes upset our ability to meditate. Usually the law only steps in when it comes to actions which we do against others which has evidence. And sometimes even the law can make mistakes. If we don't have a witness, then it's very hard to prosecute. But what we're talking about in terms of our meditation practice is often actions which are very private, actions which no one else sees us doing, but which can affect the quality of our own mind. So this is why we cannot rely merely upon the law as the guideline which we need when we are making decisions. So today we have run very, very quickly through a total of 10 different guidelines which we can use for making decisions about what is either negative, neutral, or positive in the way it may affect our ability to meditate. Maybe during this week you might like to observe yourself when you are making decisions to see what sort of principles you are using when you come to make decisions about what you're going to do in your life. You may find that your principles are not as clear as you originally thought, in which case you might try using some of the principles we've been talking about today. Next week we're going to be going on to look at the way in which we treat other people, especially relating to the things that we say to other people, to see how these can affect also our potential to be able to make progress in our meditation. So in the meantime, keep up with your meditation and try to be observant about yourself in the week to come, and I'll be seeing you again at the same time next week.
Next on Buddhist Culture, you will see the continuation of the story on the morning rise. You'll also learn and understand more about the Buddhist nature of giving as the first errand in a day's life, bringing bliss to a new day, and also extending the life of Buddhism.
The essence of almsgiving is the rice. Rice has to be cooked fresh and hot, spreading its fragrance throughout the whole house. The old rice cooking pot, the fresh cooked rice, for the new morning, for everyone in the house. The morning rice. The first spoon of rice of the new morning is only for the Holy One. The first spoon of rice that is wholesomely prepared for the monks who come at the new dawn demonstrates the faith of Buddhists who wish to lift Buddhism up as the crown of their own lives. The morning rice is for paying respect to the Lord Buddha, for his Dharma teaching of the ultimate truth of life, and for paying gratitude towards monks who practice and preserve this guiding light. Buddhists consider the offering of alms food to be the first fundamental thing to do each day in order to bring bliss to their new day and to extend the life of Buddhism. The values of this Buddhist culture is comparable to the sunlight that nourishes the life of all beings.
Last time you were introduced to the concept of using soft music as a meditation tool. For those of you who find it helpful, you can use this technique as means to help you relax and get you in the mood for meditation. It is now time for us to meditate with Venerable Somsak Biyasilo.
We all see roses together. They are so beautiful, aren't they? This is Meditation for All, Session 5 of Part 2. Welcome everyone to this meditation time. Rose is the queen of all flowers. It has the sweetest qualities in itself. When I see roses, it reminds me of a story of a little girl. One day that little girl was so sad, so she ran out crying into her teacher's home. Her teacher's home has a rose garden on the back. It contained hundreds of roses. They are all beautiful. So the teacher gave her a soft kiss, a sweet kiss, and said, "Come on, my dear, stop crying. I'll show you. Come with me to the rose garden and I'll show you something." So the teacher took the little girl to the rose field, the rose garden, and then show her, "Come on, my dear, roses here are waiting for you. When you cry, the roses also feel so sad with you. Come on, stay. You are now in the middle of hundreds of roses. You are the queen among queens of flowers. See how can the sweetness of the roses soothe your pain away. Can you guess how can this be done? It's not easy to guess, but then I'll show you." So the teacher asked her to stay in the middle of the roses and then asked her to be part of the roses. Last time we talked about how to dilute stress and tension by absorbing the freshness of the nature. But this time we can soothe the troubles and pain away by turning ourselves to be part of the beauty of the rose, or also to be part like we are the bottle full of the essence of the roses. Now it is about time to meditate. Always remember the beauty and the sweetness of the roses. If you are ready, you find the most comfortable corner in your room. Select the sitting position, also the sitting posture. You can sit on the floor if you like, with or without the support of the cushion or pillow. You may sit on the chair, whatever that you feel most comfortable. You may drink a glass of warm water or fruit juice if you want. That is it. And then take a good deep breath. This is to soothe the mind at the beginning. And gently close the eyes. We shall not squeeze the eyelids too close so tightly. Just relax and let the eyelids just about to be closed. Always remember to relax. Relax as if we are flooded or we are bathed by the stream of relaxation. Let the beauty, the charm, the sweetness of roses to come around. Get surrounded by all the serene beauty, sweetness of roses. Then we can relax even more. Relax amid the beauty of the roses. And let the moment pass by in this tranquility. Stay still without doing anything at the moment. Let relaxation prevail in every part of the body, from top to toes, everywhere. The entire body is getting more and more relaxed. Enjoy the initial stillness of the mind, more or less. Let me review the turning point a little bit. The turning point lies in the middle of the body. It is the far end of the in-breath. Let's try. Take a deep breath, deepest one. The inhale, the wind goes past the lungs, down to the middle of the stomach. The point where the in-breath is about to get turned out. This is a turning point. As we call it again as well, the station of peace. So we are conscious of the existence of the turning point. Allow the mind to get into the center. This center, the turning point, will give you peace. Stay motionlessly at the center point here. Allow the mind to relax and stay peacefully, motionlessly at this center point. Then we are gaining more and more peace, quietly. In the teaching of Buddhism, the mind has certain characteristics. It is clear, it is bright, and it is in its sphere form, round as a sphere form. This is the station of peace where the mind belongs to. So welcome the shape of the mind to appear, to turn up here at the turning point. Welcome a crystal ball that is clear, that is so bright as it reflects the light from everywhere. At this turning point, as the mind focuses, a bright crystal ball is floating still at the center point in the middle of the abdomen. Enjoy the appearance and the existence of the crystal ball. The technique of observing the crystal ball is one word. The correct technique is to feel it. Feel the existence of the crystal ball. And the opposite one, somebody may do it wrong. They use the force. They force a picture to be very bright and very clear. Feeling has nothing to do with force. Forcing will destroy all the soft feeling. Forcing is not what we use in meditation. So we feel at ease, feel the existence of the crystal ball. Enjoy the feeling of the existence of the crystal ball. Stay where you are, the feeling. Stay peacefully observing the crystal ball. Peace is gradually generated from the station of peace. Every time the mind focuses at the station of peace, we gain peace from the inner experience. Amazingly, peace can be shared. Sharing is to give, to expand or radiate the feeling of peacefulness. So the crystal ball contains peace. We expand the size of the crystal ball. So the crystal ball is now growing bigger in diameter, growing, expanding outwards, expanding far and away, expanding endlessly. So we send away good wishes for everyone, every being, every creature. Sharing is giving away peace of mind. Let the boundary of the crystal ball expand far further and away, endlessly in this motion. But we stay still in the middle of that big expanding crystal ball. Stay still, even more and more peaceful. Enjoy the brightness if we have enjoy peace that we have. And when time is up, we prepare to come out of the meditation slowly. Take a deep breath again to confirm the turning point. We always stay. Confirm the existence of the crystal ball. Once we are ready, we gradually come out and open the eyes slowly. How do you like it? The feeling of sweetness of roses can bring us back to the peace inside easily. Once we gain inner peace, remember to share peace of mind to others, and we can make the world a better place to live together. Until we meet again next time, have a good meditation experience until we meet. สวัสดี
Mrs. Ivy Shan from Hong Kong is a young businesswoman, a mother of one, and care provider to many children. She will share with us her wonderful experiences in meditation and also how meditation has helped her to change for the better.
Sawadika. My name is Ivy. I'm from Hong Kong. Today I'm glad to have the opportunity to share my meditation and Dharma learning experience with everyone here. In fact, in 1991, I have written a letter and asked myself, who am I and what do I live for? In the subsequent years, I lived my life on my own way, and I didn't know actually what I was doing. Fortunately, in 1999, I had the chance to come to Wat Patamagaya and learn meditation for the first time. That time I experienced very peaceful feeling within me. The most touching part was I saw a tunnel with a very bright light, and I was so touched that I had tears in my eyes then. Since then, I have continued to come to the temple frequently till now. Actually, during my 20s, I kept telling myself, if I'm not happy, and I shouldn't bear a child. This is because I felt that I wasn't happy. How would I bring happiness for my children? But since then, I've been coming to the temple. It has changed my views and thinking of my life. I have learned what is the real meaning of life and the correct path for my life. Luang Po and Luang Pi have guided me so far. I also started to go to Panawat for meditation retreat and other meditation courses. With these meditation sessions, I became more and more clear of what I'm supposed to do and also how to help the friends around me. Till I met my husband and have a kid. His name is Sacha. After he was born, I really hoped that he could help Luang Po to bring the message, what is the real meaning of life, to other people. Since the birth of my son, I continue on my path of learning Dhamma. Recently, I have been to meditation retreat with a friend, Irene, and we have the opportunity to offer and distribute food and toys to the children in the local native villages. Besides feeling happy to see them, there was another thought that came into my mind. I also start to worry that do their parents know the responsibility to having them, or do they know what is the real meaning of life? If they don't even know, how could they be able to teach their children about it? The mixed feeling of happiness to meet them and the concern for them bother me. As I also know about the law of karma, when I saw them, I have made a wish that their parents should know what is the law of karma, how to educate themselves about the correct way of life. And I believe that in order to know the answer for these questions is to start by learning meditation. This is because when we meditate, we know exactly what we are thinking within us and start to be sure about who we are. Practices of meditation, generosity, keeping precepts are all equally important to us. I believe my life has changed about 80% after learning Dhamma as a Buddhist, and I also start asking my friend along for practice meditation too. I have started up a business with my friends. The reason for doing it is also because of what Patamagaya, so that I could be able to visit Thailand more often. I come to Thailand to purchase some goods and imports to Hong Kong for reselling. I'm lucky that the business is going well for the past 3 years, and the next year we are expecting our business to expand further. I hope I could assist to uphold Dhamma with both efforts and monastic means for the benefit of Hong Kong people. This is because the people in Hong Kong are different from those in Thailand, which Thailand people are born in a country with strong Buddhism cultures, where the people in Hong Kong are not. Most of the Hong Kong people are mainly Christian or free thinker. Some of them even refuse to believe in the law of karma. This is because they don't want to face the reality. For example, how could I believe it simply by what you have said? Where that is something that I haven't physically said myself. Sometimes I believe many of my friends who are afraid to believe it because they simply want to continue on what they are doing now and choose not to believe it. But I have also started convincing them on the simple Dhamma talk and start a small meditation group and hope that the group could grow gradually. Eventually, all Hong Kong people could believe in the law of karma and also the correct path for their mind. I hope those who are parents should know that this is the real meaning of their life. Whether they have or don't have kids, they should know the correct way of the life and hence be respectful to their own parents. If they have, they should even know better on the correct path of their life and what to teach their children. You may or may not believe the law of karma. What if it is really exists? How are you going to handle it? And the parents should learn the correct ways to educate their children in the future. Especially for the people in Hong Kong, all of you should try to listen to others. From case study, Luang Por mentioned that only 3 types of people can practice meditate: deaf people, insane people, and those who don't meditate. I believe whoever watching DMC channel now are the people who have the merits to practice meditation. I hope that everyone could diligently practice meditation, not because of laziness and given all sorts of excuses. Sometimes actually I'm also unintentionally fall into the trap of laziness too, but I will determine to carry on practice meditation because meditation could help us to maintain the correct path in our mind. I feel that when I have come to the temple for practice meditation, it's the same feeling of having a shower and feel refreshed and see brightness within me. But after I went back to Hong Kong, I would be bothered by all sorts of business and other issues. It causes me to feel that my mind is being polluted, and only practice meditation every day will help clear our mind properly. When we are clear of what we're doing, then we would be able to help others around us. How could you help others when you are not sure of what you're doing? I hope everyone could try meditation, even with or without religious belief. Meditation is also the way to help ourselves in terms of improving our EQ and have a clear view on the path of our life. I also hope to see all of you at Panawat. Sawadee-ka.
In Thailand, the use of floral garlands is widespread. Floral garlands can be used as a gift to your friends, relatives, or the Lord Buddha. Inspiration and creativity make the process of constructing a garland a pleasurable task, with the byproduct of promoting mindfulness. So if you're interested in creating one for yourself, then join Rose Mi Pan next on Cut and Carve.
No matter which way my life turns, no matter easy or hard.
ทีนี้เสร็จแล้วจากมาลัยกลมแล้วนะคะมาลัยซีกแล้วนะคะเราก็จะเป็นส่วนของอุบะนะคะอุบะนี้ก็จะประกอบด้วยดอกรัก
ค่ะ
อับรักตรงนี้เดี๋ยวเราจะสาธิตในการทำอุบะตรงนี้นะคะ
ค่ะ
ดีไหม
Now we're going to learn how to do this dangling part, which is called the uba. This is made out of doglap, and since we're changing the colors to green and white, you can't use orchid colors. We can't use this purplish paint color, so we'll be using leaf. Usually the string should match the color of the thing you're using right here. So if you're using an orchid petal, which is this color, you would use a purplish string. And for what we're using, which are leaves, we would use a green one. You're going to be using the tapioca stem, and you're going to take this string and push the string in so it's nice and tight.
ตัดเชือกอ่ะโอเค
Like this. Once you got the string in, you're going to take the leaf and fold it in. Sort of like when you're making a cone. แล้วก็ใส่เลยนะคะ
จ้ะทาไปเลยก็พันใช้พัน
Take the leaf
เหมือนเคยทำกระทงไหม
Not much. So if you don't think it's tight enough, you can do it twice or 3
ก็หมุน
times.
นะลูกหมุนโอเค
So you keep on doing that and put it on the other side. ให้มันปิด
ให้มาประกบกันประกบกันคือถ้าจะให้สวยจริงๆนะต้องประกบกันให้สนิทเลยกันเด้งให้ต่อไปนะคะ ใบที่3นะคะตอนแรกเราประกบกันอย่างนี้แล้วเราก็เอาอีกใบหนึ่งใบที่3ก็คือมาไว้ด้านข้างสองข้างนี้สับวางเนี่ยประกบปิดสองข้างเหมือนกันเลยแล้วก็พัน
Take the third leaf, just like the first 2 leaves, and close up these 2. So it's like 2 leaves and a third one covering it. Then take the 4th one and cover the other 3. To do this, you have to be very patient and very gentle. So it would turn out sort of like a bud, a rosebud. So when you're finished, wrap it around twice, then cut it off. To do the bottom part, we put in what we just finished by putting the needle through the stem all the way, and after that, we use the outside of doglap, put it in, and put the base of a bud in. So, when you get doglap, get the one that hasn't been peeled open yet. You have this, like that, and you have to be gentle, holding 2 fingers like this, and using your fingers gently, moving one side, then the other side, until you have the whole thing. แล้วก็
ใช้กรรไกรตัดข้างใน
So, you get the scissor, ตัดนี่เขาตัด
ให้ไม่ให้สุดให้ติดชิดๆเลยค่ะชิดเลยแล้วข้างในด้วยให้ชิดเลยโอเค
Right now, we're doing the longest one, which is 9. We have 9 doglap in a row. So, you have the longest one first, which is 9, and then you keep on going and make about 5 more strands, with 7, and then the last one with 5. So when you put it in, it has to be this way, like an alien spaceship, and it's landing in. At the end of the string, tie a knot. when you pull it down, don't pull it down tightly. You're supposed to let it a little loose so it can relax.
นี่กันยาวที่สุดแล้วก็อันที่สองก็ตัวอย่างแค่นี้จบ
So
ก็ทีละ
you
สอง
just repeat doing this over and over again. But this one's the longest, then you do the 7 and then 5. Now that we're finished with the uba, once we're finished, we're going to put it together. There's the circular one, semicircular, the uba, and the mini semicircular. This one is just the same as this one, except this is smaller.
ส่วนที่เราจะทำรัดข้อนะคะเราจะใช้กลีบที่เล็กในดอกนี้นะคะก็คือกลีบนี้ค่ะกลีบนี้นะคะเรามาเอาเรียงเท่าๆกันแล้วก็ตัดให้สั้นๆนะแล้วก็มาร้อยเข้าพวงมาลัยนะคะเรียงให้หลายๆอันเลย
For the mini semicircle, what we're going to do is we're going to use the small petals, place it all together, แล้วก็ตัดใช่ไหม
ค่ะ
and
ตัด
cut it. We're going to cut it about a centimeter, and once you cut it, you can just put it in just like the other semicircle.
ค่ะก็ร้อยแบบ3-2นะคะ 3-2
So just like the
สับ
other
วาง
one, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2.
ไปเรื่อย
The amount that you need depends
ๆช่วย
on the
แค่นี้พอ
uba and the other semicircle. So you have to sort of guess the amount you need.
ค่ะก็ทำเป็นตัวอย่างตกลงรัดข้อก็คือเป็นแบบนี้นะคะก็คล้ายๆอย่างเงี้ยนะคะอันนี้ก็ตกลงพวงนี้ก็สมบูรณ์แบบเลยนะคะครบทุกอย่างแล้ว
We have now come to the end of our program. Please let us know what you think about Meditation for All by sending your comments and questions to meditationforall@yahoo.com. See you another time. สวัสดีค่ะ